in the list, I think that this goes in order. In the list, it's lefid. Again, a very competent player, 2157. And we've got a Sicilian on the board. So I'm going to play something that I play against the Sicilian, which is really, it's more like of a bullet type opening. I don't recommend to play like this, but there are some people who say, well, I don't like to have to learn a bunch of theory. Now, I want to say, in general, I think theory is actually a great way to learn chess, because you inevitably, when you're studying theory the right way, the big question is, why did theory come to be? Like, why do players play this move, or why do they play that? And when you have your eyes open in terms of, asking yourself, oh, why is this the main line? Or what about this? Or what about that? First of all, it can be interesting to find new ideas, which in today's computer world, we can find ideas much more easily than before, even if you're, let's say, not a world-class player. You don't have a team around you. So first of all, you can find ideas. But the other thing is, you're learning. Excuse me. You're gradually learning about the opening, in terms of, you're learning why is it that players do this or that. And you inevitably pick up some strategic concepts along the way. So this particular opening, though, is for those who don't have such a desire to learn opening theory, and it's a little bit of a nonsensical opening. But actually, in online blitz games and bullet games and that, it's actually gotten me quite reasonable results. So I'm just throwing it out there as a little quirky setup against the Sicilian that you might go for. The idea is just roll the bishop back to a2. Objectively speaking, I mean, if we put this through an engine, it'll tell you the opening is not good. So let's first of all make that clear. But there are many players, even very strong players, who've made a career out of playing somewhat sketchy, somewhat dubious openings, but with a more or less clear plan. So the way that Black has set himself up is very typical against this. I think it's the most common way in which the Black player tends to set himself up, in my experience. And it's actually a very logical way to set yourself up. You're getting a tempo with this d5 push on the bishop. And then to play with b5 also makes a lot of sense. I mean, one of the things that sometimes I will do instead is to put the pawn on a4 and then bishop c4 and then etc. That creates other problems, like the b4 square is suddenly weak, but it prevents Black from playing b5, where this can be quite dangerous for White, because after b5, first of all, the Black bishop gets onto potentially a very nice diagonal, and also Black at some point might hit you with c4, which could lock in this bishop. So, there are definitely pros and cons. h6 makes a lot of sense here. Just saying, I want to prevent bishop g5 because I don't want you to have a bunch of pressure against this point. So I'll go bishop f4. And I'm probably, well, for now my bishop is on a pretty good square. And now I'm thinking whether I want knight e5 or whether I want some other move. One of the other ideas in this silly opening is to go queen d2 and bishop takes h6 in certain situations. As I say, I mean, I've had very good results in bullet, I think, just playing in this fashion. But I would never play this in a classical game, or almost never. But I think many of the players here, they are just online players, and usually I'm playing quite, let's say, classical and principled openings. So I thought this might be fun to mix it up. So this, guys, is the final game for any of you who are who joined the stream relatively recently. Opponent goes queen d7. I'm not a huge fan. I do think c4 ideas are quite strong. And one of the ideas that I've done in the past after c4 is actually just to, you know, at some point recycle the bishop by moving my knight and then going bishop b1. And suddenly the bishop's actually a really good piece. So that's another idea, because sometimes you want the knight here, you want c3, you want your rook on d1. All of these moves make sense. Bishop takes h6 though makes a lot of sense in this position after queen takes h6, because when the queen has gone to d7, he doesn't have ideas like rook e8 and bishop f8. They're not fast ideas because the knight will be hanging. And if we take everything here, he doesn't have the g4 square. And if he moves the knight, then knight comes here. And if bishop f5, then at that point, the pawn on d5, right? If he tries to cover the square like this, the pawn on d5 will be falling. So do I want to take? Are we in a gambling mood? Okay, come on. This is the spirit of this opening, right? We understand we're not playing necessarily the most correct chess, but we're playing fighting chess, and we're playing to have certain ideas about what we can do. We're playing an unconventional opening, and we're saying we have more experience. The system is not very good, but it does have a bit of poison, and we have more experience in that. It's like we are hopefully the proverbial pig, right? In we want to be feeling like a pig in you know what, right? Just, I'm not going to say, but I'm not sure that I am feeling like a pig right now, because this move is a nice move. And the point is he wants some bishop g5 stuff. But on the other hand, knight e5, knight takes, rook takes is quite interesting. Now, we're only down a piece for 2 pawns. So if we recover another pawn along the way, even if it becomes a situation where, you know, we reach an endgame or something like that, we have a fighting chance. With 3 pawns against a piece, it's not so clear. So he could go bishop g5 intermezzo move, but there, for example, we can take, and after bishop takes, we could collect a rook, and then we have 2 pawns and a rook for two pieces, which is approximately balanced material. And on the other hand, after bishop here, we could go knight takes, bishop takes, and then take this guy on c5. But I actually prefer to take here, because then I just realized this guy will fall. And that's rook and 3 pawns is usually, rook and 2 against 2 minor pieces is usually about balanced, but rook and 3 pawns is a lot of material. But I think he might have some problems here, because I think knight h7, at first I thought it was a very strong move, but I'm not sure now if it's such a concern for us. Because because if he goes knight takes, rook takes, we cover the g5 square, and we threaten to capture on d5, and we have some ideas with rook h5 down the line, although for now he might have bishop f5. So I think black has a lot of problems to solve here. I don't know. I suspect he probably has at least some kind of a route to a reasonable game, but I'm not sure what he can do. For example, if he goes queen c7, I could, worst comes to worst, I could take here, take here, take here, take here, swap the queens, and then in the end take here, and I would have more active pieces and 3 pawns. So black takes in the end. And my threat is to take this pawn, or maybe to go rook h5, create the threat of taking on h7. The knight cannot move because of mate on h8. And if after this he goes bishop f5, then I can take. So I think that's looking very strong to me. Rook here on h5. What to do for him other than bishop f5, I don't see so much. And then I was hoping to be able to take this guy. And if bishop here, I'm not so concerned because should be able to just move my queen somewhere like f4 or something like this. But okay, on the other hand, this is maybe... Yeah, maybe I had something better than this. But if bishop g7, maybe I'll go queen e3 actually. Queen e3 is quite good, just threatening to take this pawn on c5 rather than the queen on f4. And one of the advantages that this has is he can't go bishop g6 because I go check, and when he moves the king, I take his bishop here. Well, I mean, okay, actually he can do that. It's not the end of the world for him, and maybe that's what he should do. And then, but at least, okay, at least if bishop g6, knight here, check, king here, I can go rook d5, and at least what I like about that is that I gain a bit of a tempo there. I'm going to go queen g3 here and pinning the bishop. And my idea is that if bishop here, I can maybe do something funky in terms of maybe, you know, at the right moment, something like that, right? So yeah, I think bishop g3, I can actually take his bishop, which is kind of a nice point. So what can he do? Just to show that line, if he goes bishop g6, I'll go queen takes, f takes, and then I'll go knight e7 check. That's a double check. My bishop is on a2 as well. And no matter where he goes, here or here, I can actually take on g6, and that'll be checkmate. So it's a nice little knight, and my rook isn't even participating. It's just knight and bishop are both participating there. He goes rook c8 to cover this square. I do have knight b6, which would collect an exchange. And keep in mind that for now I have 3 pawns for the piece, so material is close to level, meaning that if I pick up an exchange, I'll be in at least in okay shape. But the question is, do I have anything better? For example, one move that I think is very interesting is knight f6 check. He has to take with the knight because his bishop is pinned, and then the idea is rook g5. He can't go bishop g6. Well, I mean, he can, but I can win that piece. But my problem there is maybe he'll just go knight h5 and then I'll take. And in the end, I've swapped off a couple of pieces, but I'm not sure that swapping this guy for effectively swapping these two is so good. One of the issues that I have is that this rook, I wish it could play in the position. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go knight b6, because what I realize now is that when I hit his queen, he's not going to be able to defend this guy. So, for example, if he goes queen c7, he might hope that I'll go knight takes c8 and queen takes c8 and he'll defend his bishop, and I'll have won an exchange, but that'll be all. But after something like queen c7, what I might do is just pick up this bishop on f5, and the point is, if he takes here, then I can actually take on f7, probably with the rook, and that just looks just crushing. So you can see, I mean, this system against the Sicilian is basically what I play in Bullet. It's not as I say, it's not objectively, I don't think it's particularly sound, but it has a bit of attacking poison. You can sort of pick up some ideas relatively quickly in it, and so it's for the lazy player who just wants to lazy tactical players. That's what it's for. So thank you to lefid for the game. You can see now, I'll just show you that the computer is going to be deeply unimpressed with this approach. You can see minus 0.5 or something like that. It says black is a little bit better, minus 0.2, minus 0.3. But at the end of the day, what is minus 0.2 or minus 0.3? At the grandmaster level, if you're white and you're regularly getting this kind of a disadvantage as white, you're going to get beaten up a lot. But if you're just looking to have a bit of fun, you can bridge that gap, that objective evaluation gap. You can bridge it just by knowing a little bit more about the schemes and ideas in this position than your opponent knows. So anyway, that's the final game in this stream. I think that will that'll more or less do it for me. I hope you guys have found it fun and enjoyable. And thank you, by the way, to Lefid, who is in the chat. He said he underestimated the sacrifice. I'm not sure how good the sacrifice is. I don't know how I don't know how I can get back to the game so I can show you. The sacrifice looks very tough to deal with after this move, Queen D7. So computer says it's equal at first sight. Well, we don't know. Depth is 20, so it'll probably change its mind. But usually, if the computer says the sacrifice is roughly equal, it's worth a shot. And he did go knight h7, but knight e5 takes. And this position, he went bishop f6. He found all the right moves, rook h5, and then he found bishop f5, then bishop g7. He found everything. Defended very, very well. But here he needed to find something like bishop g6. This is what I was saying. Bishop g6, knight e7, king h8, rook d5 was the line I was mentioning. And here it seems like black, and the computer's cool as ice, queen a7, and says white has, roughly speaking, has enough compensation for his piece because it has a bunch of pawns, and he might pick up another one. But I'm not overly impressed. But so I'm not taking any more challenges. The stream is over for today. But rook f8, queen g3, and here suddenly one big mistake, rook ac8, and suddenly the game is over. So that's of course the problem when you're being attacked. It can be harder, right, to just avoid little mistake here and there, and next thing you know, it's game over. So okay,